Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Team Down TV's coverage here of the MOL Clash of the Titans, Australia versus New Zealand in World of Tanks. My name is Sam, and I'm joined tonight by the very knowledgeable Uber. Uber, how are you going, mate?
Yeah, going very well, thank you. What a fantastic way to cap off a Friday with some armoured warfare, and no better than the Jolly Jumpers going up against the Chillybin Warriors in this second of their best of three series. The Aussies have got one to bring back, though, here. The Chillybin Warriors were all over them last week.
Yeah, the Aussies struggled a little bit, got a few drawn rounds, and then obviously losing to the Kiwis in like the third or fourth map, and that was the end of the story. Obviously, these we're playing best of 5 matches across a best of 3, so 3 best of 5s, if that makes sense. And the Kiwis have won the first one, and tonight is game number 2.
Right, much like the way that we see our State of Origin games and all that, we will still play the last few games, even if they are dead rubbers. I think that is how it's going to work out anyway, or at least we'll play 5 games out regardless. So, plenty of games to be seen. The map picks have actually already been finished, though. The way it's going to work out is it's going to be the first map, Mines, Australia, starting on the southern side. Southern, good, God help me. Map 2 is going to be Prohorovka and the Aussies on the north. Steps is our third map, and the New Zealanders are going to be on the north that time. Cliff will be our 4th map, and Australia will be in the north. And then Ensk, our final map, which we'll see the New Zealanders in the north side. So Ruenberg and Himmelsdorf both banned out. Interestingly enough, those 2 maps were played last week in our series, so they've been completely taken out here. Neither teams really actually wanting to play them again. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit of the Himmelsdorf fan, I must admit. So I find that a little bit intriguing. A bit of a fan of Ruenberg as well. So we might see some different. Do you think they decided just to play a couple of different maps tonight, or we did see? Obviously, Batman wasn't the map selector for the Chillybin Warriors tonight. They did have a fill-in map selector. So I don't know. Maybe he just went with a different strat. I'm not sure.
I think it would be good to see these maps anyway. I think they've sort of been practicing them. Fact is, Ruenberg is kind of like auto camp for one side. We kind of saw that last week. The New Zealanders opted to very much sit back on that one and just play the camp out. So that was a bit obviously not ideal. Ruenberg, so that was Ruenberg. Himmelsdorf wasn't great work from the Aussies. Actually, the New Zealanders played that really, really well with a nice little sort of 3-4 line push. Aussies backing way up into the corner of the map to defend their cap and just caught themselves far too far from the capture point. So they won't really have an opportunity at all to get back against the New Zealanders on that map. But it's nice to see a couple different ones being thrown in the mix here. Mines is one that we did see last time around. And if I'm not mistaken, that one went over to the... Oh, actually... I'm not sure.
Must have gone to the Kiwi, surely, because it was the only map that was actually won, if I recall correctly. Have we even got... I think we've even got... Maybe. We might have opposite starting positions to last week. I'm not 100% on that one. We'll have to see how we go. So we're waiting on the blind pick tank selections here, aren't we? We have Grivs locked in the Kiwi tanks with you right now, Uber. And we're waiting on the Jolly Jumpers to send theirs through. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. So we can probably divulge the New Zealanders right now. We are seeing them going with the T32, a 50-100, and IS-3, 2 1390s and 2 T1s. Fairly standard pick here. The IS-3 of Griven last time around this map was really, really impactful. He held the hill very, very well, and he timed his push straight into Joke on the T32 and smashed him one-on-one, as, to be honest, the IS-3 is going to do generally. Even still, very, very nicely played by Griven there, held well, and the entirety of the New Zealanders just sat back on that map, used I think the 5100 of Zenioldar as just a pivot point and did a heck of a lot of damage. Kudos to the Australians for trying to sort of break in there, but a southern spawn on mines generally means you're going to sit back because the hill always goes to the northern team. They will push that one. It is very, very risky play to try and take the hill off the northern side team on south. So you generally sit back. You will sit a 5100, an IS-3, a T32 maybe, sort of out on the hill at your base. You might have an IS-3 sort of in the middle that's trying to light someone up. You send your 21390s to the side island. That's fairly standard. The onus really is on the northern team here to try and break that, and that often involves rotations down through the island as well. You often see these head-to-head 1390 battles going on that, so 2v2 kind of situations. Maybe even if a 69's picked up for one team, they'll come straight on through as well. I'm just letting them know that, and we are ready to go.
Is it have the Aussies, they've gone and picked their tanks there now by the looks of it?
Yeah, so the tanks for Australians have been picked. Just going to see if they want to. Yes, so it's going to be Tier 1s and IS-3, 2 T-32s and 2 T-69s. It's actually a very different lineup that we're seeing here from the Aussies. Yeah,
it's interesting with how this these blind picks will play out. A little bit of a different situation. It's much harder to counterpick, I suppose, isn't it, Uber? You have to work out what your strategy is from the get-go and go in off your own accord, as opposed to waiting and responding to your opponents and what they pick.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can't pick an opponent team. So you need to have a strategy. You need to think about what tanks are going to be the best for you, given just the context of the map and your spawn point. So you can't really play off against the enemy team. And what this does is it gives rise to some really interesting strategies. Teams can go for something a little bit different, and they can't really be counted out by something cheesy from the other team. And this is what we have here. So, ladies and gentlemen, from the southern spawn, it is going to be the Australian team. They are green, and it will be on the northern side, the New Zealanders.
New Zealanders here. I am up here at the moment. Obviously now, apparently we can view all the teams, all the tanks. That is super awesome. So we see. I wonder if I can I really want to jump onto Batman here. I want to follow Batman out and see if he's got something ridiculous going on. We'll go back the other way. We'll see if we can follow. Where is Batman? In his 1390. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Game number 1 of this second best of 5 series between Australia and New Zealand. The Jolly Jumpers up against the Chillybin Warriors here, thanks to MOL and thanks to these Aussie and Kiwi players here. Looks like the Kiwis are going to make their way onto this this hill very easily without any sort of confrontation at all, Uber.
This is actually a very interesting strategy from the Australians. They've been 2 T-69s up onto the hill. So they're not sitting back like you normally expect a southern spawning team to do. Dexter trading already takes a hit. Griffin, I think, was the one that dealt that to him. Now he goes down to 1,009. The entirety of the Australian team is pushed up onto this hill. Mind that tank out wide with the IS-3 as well. But you can see the guys from Australia really trying to get some fire down early on. Horse the Apocalypse puts a cheeky shot into the side of Joke, puts him down at 1,266. And Griffin will now back away. Again, Bingo Bongo being used at the back of the pack here as a pivot point with his 5100. He's up at A4, and he will just try and get shots with that gun there as well. Good shots coming onto Mind That Tank. Batman, the star of the PvP Super Friends, doing a lot of work onto Mind That Tank. Really not good positioning at all from the guy there as well. He's down to 1016 on that IS-3. It's not a tank you want to be going into a battle with half a health pool with, given how long your reload time is. The best part about having an IS-3 in the thick of things is its health pool. And Mind That Tank really now sees Joke trying to shield him a little bit here. Good positioning indeed by the New Zealanders. Batman is in a great spot to get some free damage across here. Griffin is holding down nicely. Shots coming to Mind That Tank. He drops to 7, 8, 9. Now, Comics is pushing the hill as well. He and Dexter trying to go in. Horse goes low down to 359. Down to 99 health. Yes, the first casualty of the game. Comics will pick that one up, but now Batman's got a few shells left at 106 as Comics is held. Griffin's getting pushed on him. He's taking 0 damage. Finally, a hit comes his way. Batman takes care of Comics there. Anato now comes into the fray. Another PvP Super Friends player. He comes straight up towards Joke. Griffin is getting focused a little bit here. Shot goes towards Anato. That's 2 shots onto him now, but there we go. Mind That Tank drops. Because he lost all that health earlier on in the game. It's still a fight for the hill as well. Batman and Dexter going head-to-head. They're both on reload, if I'm not mistaken. Dexter will reload first. Bingo Bongo's picked up Joke there on the hill, and the Australians are just starting to figure out that their push was ill-advised. A lot of tanks sitting back here for the New Zealanders. Bingo Bongo doing some seriously good work. Batman trying to stay away from Dexter. He might try and flex here on towards Eminence. He takes a shot in the rear end from Dexter, who reloads a little bit faster. Batman is just trying to get some distance here. He's a little bit faster on the acceleration. Eminence is completely pinned down here at the moment. You see Anato and Griffin. Eminence is doing very, very well to trade with him so far. You can see that Griffin's a 1-shot. Anato is a 2-shot here. Eminence are just going to be very, very careful. Got to use that hull turret armor as effectively as he possibly can. Takes a nasty hit there from the IS-3. Griffin puts him down at 188. Eminence just trying to use his good turret armor there at the front and try and keep his head down. He misses that shot. One goes over his head as well. In the meantime, Dexter is sitting back. He's kind of disengaged from Batman. Batman's got away. Dexter's got to decide how he's going to get Eminence out of this decidedly, less than ideal situation, Sandman.
Nice of you to take a breath there, Uber. You must have some circular breathing skills or something. The Aussies looking like they're in a lot of trouble here. Only 3 tanks remaining, Fresh, Dexter, and Eminence. And I think they might have bitten off more than they could chew by pushing. It did look to me originally like perhaps they would get the best of the Kiwis as Eminence does get picked up there by Bingo Bongo. We will see another shot of damage. 293 going to go down onto Dexter. Dexter going to get rammed, and he is out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, we only have 1 tank remaining. That is Fresh Meat. Sitting here in his T1 with some nice little camo, I must admit, in the trees. And there are 3 minutes on the clock. We'll see. It looks like they may, or we're getting some pings out down in that K5 and 6, but that is not where he is. Vindicare and Batman going to find him out here. Fresh Meat getting tracked up, and that is it. GG. Game number 1 going over to the Kiwis here, Uber, in quite convincing style, I must add.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very well played by the Kiwis there. Yeah, no, it was a bit of a spree of talking. I mean, a lot was happening in a very short amount of time. But again, the Kiwis won this map in the same manner that they won this map last time, except from the northern spawn instead. Bingo Bongo sat way, way back at base just to lay down some cover fire. For some reason I'm not 100% sure of, the Australians funneled themselves up onto that hill. We didn't see any 3090s picked at all. We could tell they wanted to brawl. They took the T69s as autoloaders and 2 T32s. So we knew they wanted to do some work on that hill. The problem is that they got themselves so far pushed up that Batman was able to get a ton of free damage behind them. And this forced the push from the Australians when they were not in a position to really make one. They came too far up, were forced to come even further up there, and we could see the push on towards that hill as well. Griffin was hulled down in his IS-3, doing really, really well, just not taking any damage and managing to put a lot back as well. I mind that tank went down to 1,000 health before anything really started happening. Then we saw the T-69 push onto the hill by the Australian crew. It wasn't enough because they were committing their tanks to a less than ideal situation. Okay, they managed to pick up one of the 3090s on the hill. Batman was still alive, and then I think it was Batman and one more 69 left, and they were sort of on reload. Batman just got away, so the brunt of the burst damage that the Australians had was distracted with trying to take that hill for so long that the heavies were just completely nuked. The Griffin sat back, the Australians pushed onto him. Bingo Bongo sat way back doing a ton of damage. Anato came up, started to block all this damage for Griffin as well, allowed Griffin to do that, the damage with obviously BL9, it's a huge gun, 390 alpha damage. And quite simply, the Australians got drawn into a trap. It wasn't very well played from them at all.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing there. So I was unsure whether Batman and his sort of cohorts there up on the hill were going to be able to get away with it. It seemed like they were a little bit split up, but they certainly baited the Australians in very, very well. And the end result of that was a quite a convincing Kiwi win, wasn't it? Really, it was there were no ifs or buts about it. 3 minutes remaining on the clock, a 4-minute win it must have been, and they only lost like 1 or 2 tanks by the end of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at it, though, to Eminence. So I'll give it where it's due. He's done very, very well in the T-32. He actually knocked Anato and Griffin down to almost one-shots themselves. So with using that T-32 and the front armor like that you have on the turret, which is 290, 190? It's a ton, plus a gun mantlet as well. It is really, really hard to penetrate that even with gold rounds. So it's great on heals. Like I pretty much say this every single week, but Eminence used that very, very well. IS-3, its hull is penetrable, even to the slightly weaker gun of the T-32. A lot of damage was done there from Eminence. It wasn't enough, though. He lacked any sort of follow-up as well. The Australians kind of just got swooped on and then walked into a trap. And, we didn't see the normal Mine South play that we expected to see. And maybe, to be fair, that may have been what the Australians should have played for. But this is blind pick, so you can kind of go with even the most crazy strat, should I say, and it will still kind of work out for you. So, that was fine. But the execution was lacking for the Aussies.
All right, so that was game number 1. So the Kiwis are going to pick up 1 point there. So we're going to play out all 5 games tonight, and at the end of 5 games, the team with the most points, kind of like a football match, is the winner. So Kiwis going to pick up 1 point, obviously going to put them ahead after map 1. We're going to move over onto Prokhorovka. I'm getting better at this. Prokhorovka. I believe the Australians are spawning in the north. You might want to correct me, but that's what I have written down, so we'll see how we go. And tank selections are in, and the teams are ready. So we might get this underway. I might go through the Aussie pick. We can see 3 1390s, 2 T69s, and 2 T1s, Uber.
Mm-hmm. Exactly the same lineup for New Zealand as well. It's fairly expected, okay? That's your stock standard open map gonna brawl lineup. It gives you tons of flexibility, a heck of a lot of front-loaded damage, but not a lot of durability. So, it's going to be requiring shots to be hit very, very accurately. You miss shots, and it could well be the death of you here because you could die in a matter of seconds. If you get hit by 3-4 auto-loader shots in the 30-90, you are dead. So both of these teams need to be very, very mindful of their own behinds as well as their sort of teammates and concentrate fire. If you can take down one of their autoloaders before they can take one of yours down, you have an extra gun in the fight. You cut down their potential responding damage. It's just very, very, very good. So that's really what's going to happen if these teams want to go for a mid push. And you can see now it is a triumvirate of Australians here moving up the mid. It's a joke, Eminence, and Comics all in their 30-90s. They're heading straight towards the middle of the map.
They certainly are. The Kiwis, on the other hand, have decided they might swing down to this right-hand side. We'll see if we can jump ahead and grab these guys here. Here we go. This looks good. We'll jump on to Joke, one of the Num players. Is he going to? No, he's 1390. He is going to swing away as the rest of the Kiwis in their 1390s do swing across the tracks in that sort of EF line section. They didn't want to come head-to-head just yet. So right now we're looking at the majority of the Kiwis on this right-hand eastern side of the map, Uber, and the Kiwis a little bit spread out, but the 1390 certainly all clumped together here as they do. Perhaps are they making a flanking maneuver here? They're certainly coming down this train line, but the Aussies I think they're up. They know what they're up against here.
Yeah, so they spotted out a T1 very early on, and Vindicare's actually going to be able to get over the train line unscathed. The Australians can't really push these. Be very dangerous. Joke now. He's going to spot Horse of the Apocalypse as he pops his head over the train line there. And you can see Eminence just trying to get proxy spots on that T1, keep him locked down. Shots on towards Dako there on the top of the hill. Joke going to be able to move back and forth and get those ones. Dako, an important tank there, but if he gets spotted out, he's going to be in trouble. He wants to use Anato spotting for him to be able to get some free damage across. Basically, the Aussies are just pushed down the train line, and they've herded the New Zealanders onto that right-hand side, and that'll give them a little bit of freedom here. But you can see Freshman and Dexter sitting in towards the middle of the map on those 69s. They are just pivot points here, trying to provide as much fire over as much of the map as they possibly can. Mind that tank has been left back for the Aussies, and he's hitting that T1. Batman surely will find him in just a moment now. He is pushed over quite bravely here. Will he get lit by Mind that tank? It'll be shots here for Freshman and Dexter if they can see him. Surely the spot here now. Batman spots Mind that tank in that bush as he just comes straight past him. He will stop to pick him off, and no one on the Australian team is actually in any position to respond here. Freshman and Dexter were caught in an undulation, and they weren't able to get the heads over to respond to that also. Batman will likely get out unscathed there, picking himself up the first T1 of the game. Exactly, actually, what the Australians tried to do towards Vindicare, but Vindicare's a little bit slower, and a little bit quicker, sorry, and his positioning was going to allow him to get over the train line without getting hammered. You can see Comics now coming straight back down the mid. He's trying to keep eyes over the map. Joke's actually taking a bit of damage there at the southern end as well, and shots are landing around the ground. Some blind fire from Dako probably as well, or at least just trying to clip onto a 1390 on the move.
Yeah, well, I'm not 100% sure here what the Kiwis have hoping to do. The Aussies themselves sort of look like they're going to push down towards that Kiwi line, but they've split themselves up. We're into a battle here. Griffin taking a lot of damage. Down another 444 coming off here. It looks like he might get picked up. He will. We'll see Comics getting huge amounts of damage onto him as well. Down to 110. We swing around here, and Horse of the Apocalypse will end up picking up Comics here, but not before he takes a little bit of damage himself. Uber three kills apiece here, and looks like to me the Aussies are sort of trying to get ready for a bit of a capture here, perhaps. Yeah,
they're looking pretty healthy actually. That was really nice. He actually got two unanswered shots towards Horse before Horse finally picked him off. It's a 100 health 30-90 doing 600 damage to Horse there. And Comics is damn good on the move with a 30-90. It's not always easy to hit those shots, and going over bumps and at full speed makes it harder to hit them, but he absolutely nailed Horse twice. So that's a half health 30-90 there. By and large, the Aussies have a little bit more health there. Fresh meat 11.02, Joker's at 8.94. And now you can see a bit of a congregation here of New Zealand tanks towards the north side of the map. They want to go for a push here, or at least force some sort of maneuver out of the Australians. Horse the Apocalypse going to inch over the top of that train line, just back and forth, trying to get some spots straight down. Fresh meat, Joke, and Eminence are sitting quite a long way back here, and they're a little bit reluctant to push over the main hill. It's going to leave them out in the open, and that's a chance here for Dako and Horse the Apocalypse to set up. They push across now at C4. He's trying to set himself up in the middle here, maybe behind some trees or an undulation or something. But map control definitely in favour of the New Zealanders right now. They're herding the Aussies into a small spot. Eminence trying to respond here by pushing across. And Batman is going to come into the village. He should be able to get lights on Joke and Fresh Meat. That is going to set up some shots for Horse and Dako if they want to try and capitalise on that. Batman poking over. Going to miss the shot there. Joke does see him, but he's turned. Looking straight into the ground. Shot on towards Fresh Meat now as well. Joke's got to respond. Batman needs to be dealt with here. They take down Horse very, very easily, actually. Focus fire onto him. Batman getting a lot of damage from the backside. Now Australia needs to decide who they're focusing down. Dako is on the run. Batman in a position to get a lot of free damage here. He's going to poke over the train lines yet again. He's going to take one from Fresh Meat though. The New Zealanders are running out of tanks really quickly.
Dako, he is making a run for Bandito Jr. 92% capture. He needs to make the shot right now. This is his very last chance. Here we go, 98, 99. Australia are going to pick up the victory here. Bandito Jr. now getting picked up, but not before the friendly base capture comes out. Dako down to 22 HP before that end of the game. If only he had made that break just a couple of seconds quicker, Uber. That was so very close. But in the end, not enough for the Kiwis. And we played 2 games now, and we've had 2 victories and no draws. So I'm pretty keen.
No, it was actually really, really well played. The push was really, really important. That 20 or so seconds after that first push came out decided the game. I really want to hand it to Comics there. He did a very, very good job of dealing with that damage. And after that sort of fight sort of happened, we went, I think, 2 for 2 in terms of tier 8 tanks, and both teams sort of backed away. Dako did not do as much of a job as he would have liked to do up on that hill. I understand why he was there. The New Zealanders love to put a tank back. It's very Panzak-esque strategy. And I say this because back in the day, grumpy old men, or the drop bears for that matter, would love to get a 5100 and sit him back on the tree line or on a hill or somewhere and use that single tank as a pivot point to do damage against people who are spotted, and also as sort of a reference point for the rest of their team. They can sort of rotate around him and he can always sort of be covering a fair amount of the map. Dako was that tank this time around, but he didn't get enough damage done, and he actually took some. He was spotted probably quicker than he would have expected. All of these tanks should have coated optics on them and sort of binoculars and that kind of thing. They should be able to spot those tanks from that far away, and Dako was spotted and kind of forced away there. So the setup that New Zealand had initially was good until Dako was spotted before he managed to get any damage down. He was forced to back away. All of a sudden, New Zealand didn't have the overwatch of that train line crossing. The Australians able to push over eventually. They came straight back up. I think they picked the fight pretty well. It's always going to go down to a coin flip sometimes when you push onto the enemy team. Often in World of Tanks, aggression is not rewarded sort of with an advantage in a fight, especially if you're pushing into a camp, Sandman. But in this case, when you've got similar lineups and you take the initiative and do the first, put the first shots down, get the damage down first, with autoloaders, you will normally come out on top. And it was a close one, and it was an excellent capture there by Bandito as well. What happened was the Australians set themselves up in between the New Zealanders' base and the New Zealanders themselves. They sat in the middle of the map, and they weren't concerned about being capped out themselves because they had to take on the cap first. So they sat there, they waited. Batman tried to sort of shuck them out of position, but there was a bit of desperation there for the New Zealanders. We saw Horse push straight into 3 autoloaders and get completely nuked. Batman couldn't do too much on his own. He did a fair bit of damage to Fresh and shooting some dudes in the rear end, but it wasn't enough. And ultimately, the New Zealanders just ran out of time trying to save their base from being captured.
Yeah. Going along that eastern side obviously has its advantages, doesn't it? It's got that train line there. You've got a fair bit of cover. You're not taking yourself all the way onto the open, and you can take that hill as well. But if you find yourself caught out and separated from your own base, it does provide a bit of a difficult situation, I suppose, to get back into. But that's game 2 of our best of 5 tonight. We might take a very quick break while these guys go through their tank selection for game number 3, which will be on steps. And we'll be back in about 2 minutes, guys. Don't go anywhere. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Team Down TV's coverage, even, of the MRL Clash of the Titans. Australia up against New Zealand, the Jolly Jumpers, up against the Chillybin Warriors. World of Tank action. We are on map number 3 here, Uber. We're heading over to Steps. The Kiwis won map number 1 of Mines. The Aussies just picked up Prokhorovka, and we are on to game number 3.
Yeah, absolutely. An important game for both of these teams. Another map that is fairly similar in nature to Prokhorovka, given that it's an open map with not a great deal of building, should I say. Few outcroppings, and there are some important undulations that both teams want to use to their advantage. Similar lineups with a very small exception. This time, the Australians are taking a Pershing instead of that T69. It gives you a greater degree of sustained damage, and its sight range is very, very good. It's also got quite a well-armored turret as well for a medium tank. It's probably going to be used more for its sight and not close-up combat, and that's where it falls over to the T69 here. So, by and large, the New Zealanders have a better close combat, head-to-head composition, so we expect to see the Australians here sit back a little bit, try and get some overwatch with that Pershing, get the spot of the enemy maneuvers early on if they can, and then strike when they know and they have enough information to make an informed decision.
I must admit, we haven't really seen all that much of this particular map throughout the Cyber Gamer ladder, and obviously this is the first time that we have seen it in our Clash of the Titans competition. We didn't see it last fortnight. Now, it will be interesting to see what everyone is going to do. They are all heading out to the west here, Uber. Essentially, both teams are going down this western side, and it looks like they might come to a head-to-head clash here with Comics and his Australian counterparts having the numbers.
This is not a standard at all. Both teams actually going towards the eastern side. They're going to fight amongst the rocky outcropping, should I say. This is kind of what you expect to see in like a match-made game, like just a pub game, really. You can see Comics, Joke, and Eminence, again, that trident, I guess you could say, for the Australians here pushing up. Already, they've kind of locked in the New Zealanders here. We can see Horse, Griffin, Anato, and Dako have all been lit up now. They will probably try and push onto the Aussies, but I doubt that the guys are going to try and give them that opportunity. Shots towards Vindicare in the middle of the map. He pokes up on that T1. Let's see if they can get a quick kill easily. Joke is looking the wrong way. Horse might have a shot on him here as he just sits on the side of that hill. But hilly terrain is not ideal for 1390. It has pretty terrible gun depression, if I'm honest. And Horse probably struggling to maybe get that shot down. Now, Freshman and Dexter are sitting back here on those mediums to try and put some shots across the map if they have to, perhaps blind firing at this stage. Horse is still untouched. He's the frontmost tank essentially here for the New Zealanders, and they are just trying to maneuver themselves a little bit here. Shots on Dexter. Dexter actually pushing across here. I don't know if he had information about these tanks. He's now facing the firing squad. Horse puts a shot towards him as well. 946. Dexter's managed to dodge 2 shots. He goes down to 701. What a bad idea from him now, down to 451. He's got to get nuked down, and an easy pickup from the New Zealanders there. Freshman might be the next to fall here. He takes 2 shots. He's down to 851. 499 in that salvo, 221 taken off him now as well. He's down to 630. This is when the New Zealanders have to watch out about the push here as well. Comics coming straight on to Griffin here. Puts a bit of damage down. Eminence wants to go for Griffin as well. Eminence took a lot of damage already as well. Horse trying to get him now. It's a one-shot Eminence. He will go down. Hey, Australians lacking the firepower here, Sandman.
Australians found themselves in a lot of trouble. And I think Comics just said, let's go for it, boys. We'll see what we can pull off. Horse of the Apocalypse is going to get picked up, however. Comics still on full HP. Joke himself, though, is in a lot of trouble. He's on now 15 HP. He's about to go down. Comics going to find himself in the middle of all sorts of trouble as he does start to run away. Quite lucky, I must admit, that he had not taken that much damage earlier on, as he does try and run away here in his 1390. But I don't think very much is going to come. He's going to get picked up as well. The Kiwis starting to take quite a lead here. Dako actually picking up 2 kills already. And just Fresh Meat Bandit and Mine That Tank left. Not looking very good. Fresh Meat takes 280 down. There he goes. He is going to get all exploded up in here. And Uber, we just have those 2 T1s left for the Kiwis to search and destroy.
And they'll be should I say, fairly easy. I think Bandito just sitting back. Actually, to be fair, the T1 sitting over at H1 actually might be a little bit hard to find. That's Mine That Tank. Bandito actually picked up a capping T1 earlier on, so that's probably would have revealed his position. And he's just trying to lead the New Zealanders down the garden path for the moment and buy a little bit of time here for Mine That Tank. Is he in? He's not in. No, okay. So Mine That Tank is in a pretty tough spot to find. We're going to have to see them spread out, but the 3 minutes is plenty of time to get a cap here. And I think the New Zealanders will be happy enough with that one. There we go. So Bandito does hit the deck finally, and the cap has begun. Nothing at all you can do as a T1 in this situation. You really just got to sit and have a chat to the guys and start thinking about the next game. And, well, if that game was anything to go on, Dako actually, to be fair, silencing his critic, and that would be me, after his performance in the last game, or his inability maybe to get his job done. He's done very, very well this game. But again, the Australians have pushed right into a trap. I mean, you saw it, Sam, man. You saw the Pershing push straight across the line of fire. I mean, I can really only put it down to a lack of information and ill-informed decision-making from the Australians.
Yeah, I think Eminence and Fresh Meat both found themselves caught out, taking free damage. I saw a few shots coming over from Batman on the opposite side of the map, and you know, just taking him out. And I suppose once you've in a 742, when you're head to head there, and you're right on the opposite sides of those little hills, and you know you're about to push over the top, you really don't want to do that if you've already taken 750 free damage just because you put yourself in a poor position.
No. You're absolutely right. And I think the problem here is that it's good to use those tanks to sit back and provide overwatch. This strategy falls apart when your tanks become the main focus of the enemy force, right? And all that needed to happen here was for the Australian strike force, I'll call them, that Trident of 1390s. They put themselves in a position where they could not be seen by the enemy tanks, but they could also not fire. So you split the Australians into 2 groups who couldn't actually assist each other at all. The 1390s from Australia were sort of sitting on the hill and were sitting back, and the New Zealanders were firing freely on the 69 and the Pershing of the Australians. There was no threat generated by those 1390s, despite the fact that they were literally a stone's throw away from them. That is a problem. You need to make sure that both of your forces are ready to fire on the enemy team at any one time. That is a point of establishing a crossfire or any sort of overwatch scenario. Both squads can fire. In this case, it was Australia literally divided and conquered themselves, or at least allowed themselves to be conquered by the New Zealanders.
Yeah, it was the Kiwis really. It didn't feel like the Kiwis won that particular map. I felt like the Australians just went out there and lost it. When you put yourself in that position and you get caught out like that, there's essentially not much else you can do. I don't think it was a poor decision to jump over the top and try and pull something out of the bag there, as Comics certainly tried to do. But at the end of the day, the Kiwis had too much of a lead, and they ended up with the victory. So that's going to bring us out to a score of 2-1 here after 3 maps through. Kiwis winning on mines, the Aussies picking up Prokhorovka, and the Kiwis now picking up steps. I might add, Uber, that whichever team went north won that particular map. So just putting that out there as something to note. And now we do find ourselves here on Cliff. Now, in the past, on the Cyber Gamer ladder, and on the cast that we've done here at Team Down TV, Cliff has either been the biggest camp fest in the world or the shortest map that we ever see. And it really depends whether they spread out or whether they find themselves caught out there in that bit of a donut on the western side. Have you got the tank selects, and what do you think is going to happen today?
I have tank picks from the New Zealanders on the ones from Australia at this stage. I could basically say that New Zealanders, again, going to be running with the double 69, triple 1390 strategy, which is pretty much the standard one on Cliff. For a little while, we saw some sort of wacky strats here coming out on this map, especially for the northern spawning side, who would actually take an object 416 and put him on the back hill and use his excellent alpha damage and rate of fire, or just good DPM in general, and quite a good gun to just fire on the enemy team, essentially, from a safe location. So same tanks as we saw from Prokhorovka. So it's going to be a mirrored lineup here again. So both teams with the 339s and the 2 T69s. It's going to be fairly standard here. And as we've said before, Cliff has changed a little bit, Sandman. You can actually access the top of the cliff from both sides of the map now, as well as that little valley on the left-hand side, sort of in the middle, that donut. You can actually get up that a lot easier. You can also access the hilltop in the middle of that donut. So very, very interesting opportunities opened up here for the South team, especially, to actually quite easily access the center of the map and, crucially enough, the top of the lighthouse.
Now, I just want to ask, when you were over in Europe doing your tank action, was this the map where someone found a very peculiar spot and managed to get some awesome shots on it and really make a difference?
Yes. Well, yes, this was one of them, absolutely. What we actually saw was the CIS team school bus actually found some cheeky little hills sort of in the middle of the map that were recently added, and they simply used them to just have height advantage and local superiority in that area. I mean, A5 was used back in Season 3, not really so much in Season 4. This map's changed quite a lot. And we'd often see Arclit, actually, the captain from School Bus, be very, very happy to try and fight for that hill against another 1390. So often it gets quite messy fighting over these positions, similar to Prokhorovka. The maps are quite exciting tonight, actually. I'm glad we're making a bit of a departure from the city map camp sort of mentality here. But anyway, we're rolling out in the southern spawn. It's going to be the New Zealanders. Northern is the Australians. And so far, both teams essentially are funneling their way towards the middle of the map.
They are indeed. We will see that the Kiwis, though, will split up a little bit more. They will send 2 tanks along that western side, whilst the Aussies seem to only have just 1 tank over there. And we're very close here. Comics, obviously, proxy spotting out Daco and perhaps Batman as well. We can have a look. We can see Joke here as well in that 1390. And it looks like Joke might find himself caught out here. No shots going down as of yet. But the 2 T69s, there we go. They're going to come out. Damage going to go down huge amounts. Actually, Joke, even though he's behind Comics here, will get picked up. We will also see Anuto getting picked up as well. Comics about to get destroyed here, I think, down to 148 HP. He is going to get rolled. That very, very flimsy line of the 1390s Uber coming up against the Kiwi T69s head-to-head and not coming out on top.
Not good at all. It was health sharing actually from the New Zealanders here. Shots coming across. Freshman trying to put some back on towards Batman. Batman going to poke around with Griffin as well. Batman takes 1 hit. He's a 1-shot now. He's down to 105. He's going to pull back. Griffin coming up. Horse is not in a position where he can do as much damage as he would have liked to do, but Freshman now is going to have to back away as well. Dexter down to 623. Mind that tank is pushing wide, but the New Zealanders sent 2 T1s down the 1 line and easily picked off Bandito Jr. Now they are free to start the cap, and the Australians are in no position to really deal with that whatsoever. The New Zealanders now sensing sensing that they have the advantage of pulling back a little bit off that hill and waiting for the push onto them. Eminence is still very, very healthy. Griffin is a little bit caught out here, but he might be able to bait Eminence into a spot where he can get shot by both Batman and Dako right now. Eminence taking the bait, hook, line, and sinker, going straight towards Griffin there. Griffin puts the shot over towards Dexter, but Eminence now picks Griffin up. Is he safe right now? Dako pushing down the hill. Freshman's got to be surrounded if he's not careful. Dako gets one shot. He'll get the second one, but not before Freshman puts one back towards him. He's down to 112 now. One shot for Eminence. He can clean him up. If Eminence can hit a shell, for the love of God, he's trying. Yes, he's picked one up, but he takes one in the rear end from Horse of the Apocalypse now. 47 on the base capture. Batman and Horse trying to put some damage down towards Eminence as well. But Dexter, the hero of the moment, picks up both the T1s on the cap. He's got to stay safe now. It's a 2v2. So even no, Horse picks up Dexter there. Dexter put himself out in the open in that valiant attempt to stop the cap, and he has done so after the smoke clears. And it was so even just then, by the way. We had two tanks sort of on each team, one with about 600, one with about 100. That one shot from Horse on towards Dexter was so crucial. And now the cap being started off by Mind That Tank. He's a crucial tank in this situation. He can bait some damage onto Batman. Batman's a one shot, so essentially if Eminence can get one shot on towards Batman, he has enough to deal with Horse if he gets the shots down first. Eminence is trying to come around the corner here. He's not up on a hill, so he actually has to come a fair way to try and do this. If Horse can close the gap between him and Mind That Tank now without taking any damage on the fly, he will be fine. But having shots at that T1, Mind That Tank still safe. That's 3 shots towards him, and he still managed to survive. Now he's going to bait Horse down the hill. Horse picks him up. Eminence still too late to his spot. He's got no one to spot enemy tanks for him now, and he's in no position to follow up on the sacrifice of Mind That Tank. It's a 2v1. The New Zealanders with the advantage here, but they're not in a position to camp. Batman's got fantastic overwatch here towards Eminence. Horse can just push onto Eminence and trade with him one-on-one. As long as Batman can see Eminence, New Zealand will win this one.
Yeah, Dako going absolutely huge. Sorry, Dexter going absolutely huge. And essentially saving the Australians this game around. Honestly thought that perhaps Eminence might be able to get a shot onto Batman Uber, and then it would be a bit of a 1v1, him and Horse. But he has put himself, or I guess now he finds himself perhaps in a less than ideal situation. The Kiwis here, we will see Batman actually, he does have the high ground here, Eminence, as the Kiwis have decided to push out. I'm not sure whether, are they going to try and fight this out Uber here, or are they going to try and grab the cap?
Batman doesn't have the best depression. Eminence, doesn't have the best gun depression in this position right now. So it's actually a little bit hard for him to shoot down hills. If he can pick off Batman, he will be okay. But he needs to be able to take them one at a time. He needs to make sure that Horse and Batman sort of file at him in a single file format there. No, Eminence take the first shot. He's on the Horse now. Batman's going to come and try and do his damage. Horse is doing some serious work there. He put the shot onto Eminence. No, he will win the trade. And that is New Zealand picking that one up. I'm pretty sure that was one of the better games that we have definitely seen over these two series. New Zealand take that one out. And if my maths is correct, Sandman, that is 3-1.
That is 3-1, and the Kiwis will pick up this best of 5, but we will still play that final game, and we'll get to that very shortly. That was huge, and at the end of the day, it really just came down to who got the first shot, wasn't it? Who got that first shot in that head-to-head there, and the Aussies finding themselves out of luck, I suppose, but fortunate to even be in a position to contest that match until that point in the game.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, it was just, you're exactly right, actually, and you put it exactly how I would have. If Eminence had gone head-to-head with Batman and picked him up with his first shot, because Batman was a one-shot, okay, then it would have been actually even, because Eminence didn't need a full clip to deal with Horse, but Horse traded one-to-one better. His rolls were a little bit better as well, to be honest. But look, what can you do, really? I think Batman understood that he was in a very dangerous position there. He played around it very, very well. He went sort of for a position to try and get some overwatch and sat back and let Horse be the spearhead. That is exactly how you play it, and very, very well deserved by the New Zealanders. Yeah,
absolutely. They certainly have played very, very well tonight. So outplaying the Aussies, I personally feel they have outplayed the Aussies. We'll see their Horse of the Apocalypse picking up 3 kills. Big shout out though to Dexter. Stopping that cap, picking up the T1s, and certainly saving that game from an early finish. Eminence are perhaps a little bit unlucky there. Certainly, he could have found himself in a better position. It wasn't a bad confrontation. He did see them one at a time, but obviously Horse got the first shot on, and that was the end of it for him. So, Cliff, the Kiwis pick that up. That will put them ahead, and it will give them the victory today. However, we do still have one more game, and we are going to head on over to Ensk for this final map of tonight, Uber.
Yeah, it's going to be good, actually. It's a sort of cityscape map we will have seen all night. And this is a bit interesting. It doesn't really conform to the same expectations or guidelines, maybe, as some of the other ones do. And it gives you an opportunity to play wide. It's kind of like Ruinberg in that regard. You can sort of play out in the open a little bit if you'd like to. And sometimes your picks will resemble that. And this is why blind pick on Ensk is cool, because you don't know if your opponents are actually going to go wide until the game is started. So you need to pick a good cookie cutter lineup for a team for this map to really give yourself flexibility and not hedge yourself into a role or a strategy or an approach that's actually not going to work. So both these teams need to think about that to a great degree. And the picks have come in already from the Kiwis here. So it's 2 KV5s, 3 5100s, and 2 T1s. This is the classic cityscape strategy. KV5s with low alpha but good rate of fire, a good amount of armor, and lots of health, which is why they're so amazing. They are the sponge. They take the damage. The 5100s then shoot over their shoulder from safety, and they do a lot of work. Now, KV5's got a big weak spot in the front of the tank. So you got to understand, the KV5, while it is considered to be well armored in the 742 format, where everyone's shooting gold and everyone knows where to shoot a KV5, it's not as well armored. It's not considered well armored. What is good about it is it can take an extra shot than a 5100 could. That's really, really, really important, because during their autoloaders reloading, they have their chance to put down a lot of sort of free damage, and the KV5 is the kind of tank that is able to do that. It's got a good rate of fire. It does a lot of work towards sort of chunking enemy tanks down. So that's going to be the sustained damage component of the lineup here for the New Zealanders. Picks in from Australia as well. It's going to be 2 IS3s, a KV5, and 2 5100s here. So going with one less KV5 and one less 5100, but 2 IS3s here. Interesting picks indeed, Sandman.
I feel like last time we saw the KV5s in this map, I think we even saw them go down the train tracks, and then everyone sort of followed in behind them. So interesting for me, at least, to see 2 KV5s on one team and only one on the other. We'll see what these guys are going to do. I have the Kiwis going on the north spawn. I'll just actually, let me have a look. I'll make sure my overlay, I'll swap my overlay over. There we go. We now have the Jolly Jumpers and the Chillybin Warriors on the correct sides. Just while we're here at game number 5, Uber, I want to make a big shout out to MOL, obviously sponsoring this tournament. You can see all their overlays throughout our stream. MOL, Australia New Zealand, puts so much work into these sort of tournaments, actually take a sincere interest in how they work, that people are happy playing, they're happy with the formats. It's not just, put on a competition for me. MOL really takes a genuine interest. So I really do urge you guys, if you're buying your World of Tank Gold, you're getting your Steam wallet, things like that, it doesn't cost any more to go grab MOL points. In actual fact, it probably ends up being cheaper, I suspect, with the amount of awesome bargains that we have seen MOL have these days around. So get out there, support MOL Australia, New Zealand, because they are the ones who are supporting esports in our region. So that's just my shout out tonight for those guys. And don't forget that MOL are also sponsoring the upcoming Cyber Gamer. I think it's the Australia New Zealand ladder for World of Tanks, Uber. And I think that's starting on like the 26th, I suspect, which is a week from today. So I suspect it's next weekend. So head on over to Cyber Gamer Australia, cybergamer.com.au, or it might be au.cybergamer.com. I think they both work. Head on over to the World of Tanks section. If you're keen to play some tanks in Australia or New Zealand and you have a team or you want to find a team, that is the place to go. But that is enough from me and my praise. We're heading over to our final game. The Kiwis have already won this best of 5, but we are here on Ensk to see which of these 2 team formats are going to work out best, Uber.
This is definitely going to be a huge map, and even if the Aussies win this one, it won't actually matter towards the result. We play the dead rubber out, but still, plenty of potential for exciting plays here, especially given the variation that we see between these two teams lineup. I like the double IS3 pickup here, and just a single KV5 one for the Aussies. But the question is, how do you play around that strategy? Well, to start with, Comics is going straight down the train line. If he can get a spot for Dexter or Freshmeat, and Freshmeat potentially as well, for any tanks crossing that line, it'll be a lot of free damage, but that's not really something that New Zealanders have planned. Vindicare and Daco are pushing down side by side that centre road. They're going to try and spot out whatever they can and maybe just tie some tanks up in combat while they get to work on them with some other ones there. Bandito Jr., I think, was spotted out there, and Comics is kind of stuck. Dexter's pushing him. Oh, okay, no, sorry. Dexter's using Comics to shield his hull there as he pushes him down the train line. A lot of effort and really much of a muchness right now because there's no one at all from New Zealand waiting there. So Dexter's going to have to turn himself around here, and he might be caught as Daco is pushed around the corner. Shots coming out towards Bandito Jr., but he manages to avoid all damage here. Now, here's a reply. Shot comes out towards Daco. That was Dexter who put that one down. Freshman is going to miss. Daco takes another one, though, down to 1161. Vindicare is unscathed thus far. He puts out a little bit of damage back towards Eminence and Joke, and Daco are training at length here. The rest of the autoloaders from the New Zealanders are yet to hit the scene here. Griffin is the first man on site, and he's going to get some shots down as well. Joke is down to 792. Bandito takes one as well. He pushes away. First casualty is Daco's KV5. Not a lot of damage done in the first push for the New Zealanders. Now, how do they recover? Vindicare takes a big hit from Dexter there. The shot towards Bandito Jr. as well. All of the 5100s are in position except for Bingo Bongo. He's a bit late to the party. Will this hurt the New Zealanders, Sandman?
Well, the Kiwis here, we will see that the Aussies actually are grabbing that cap already, and the Aussies haven't even lost a tank yet, so they're at a 52% tank capture here. The Kiwis, I thought perhaps might have been able to swing around and do something, but it does not look like it. Eminence, Bandito Jr. and Dexter here just going to keep the Kiwis off the cap as the two T1s bring it out to 93, 95, 97, and 100%. Capture is done. Uber, the Australians pick up a win very, very quick. They saw the Kiwis go for the play. I feel like they almost baited them into that. And as soon as they came around and they brought all their guns to bear, the Australians went, sup, T1's going to go. See you later.
There were a few crucial points there where the New Zealanders really had to change their approach or, face complete and utter annihilation. First of all, they lost their T1 in the first minute or so of the game. Responding to that is very, very important. Do you know what New Zealand did about that? Nothing. They continued to push down the middle road with their two KV5s. Now, this was fine, okay? They split their forces between the KV5s on the middle road, and they sent their autoloaders and other tanks sort of a little bit wider, those 3 5100s. The problem is that those KV5s pushed onto the enemy cap before there was any chance for any follow-up from those 5100s. They traded alone against the entirety of the Australian heavies. So 5v2 for about 15 seconds. Now, finally, Griffin and the rest of his crew sort of got on site, but by the time Daco died, and he died first, Bingo Bongo still wasn't there to follow up with his own damage. The coordination was not there at all for the New Zealanders. They'd lost a T1 early, right? And they got involved in a massive committed fight with the Australians on their own cap. Two problems with that. First of all, they leave no contingencies back at their base to defend. Second of all, if you're pushing their cap, you can't turn your back and run away to try and defend your base. You'll get shot in the ass and destroyed. So they were committed. They had no way to respond to what the Aussies were doing, and all the Aussies had to do was send their T1s to go and defend. When you lose a T1, that may seem like quite an insignificant result on paper, but it needs to change your strategy. You need to respond to that, and you need to do it very, very quickly because you will get outmaneuvered very easily.
And that was essentially what happened there. You see the Australians only losing one tank, just the KV5 and of Bandito Jr., who managed to pick up a kill before he did go down. Only that KV5 getting picked up there, going over to Vindicare from Num. Now, that's going to bring the scores back to 3-2, but it does not make a difference, Uber. The Kiwis are going to pick up this best of 5, and that's going to make them our victors in our Clash of the Titans. I think they're picking up something like 56,000 gold between them. Does that sound right? It's something similar to that, I suspect. And it means the Aussies are only going to pick up about 15k gold themselves. But we do have one more best of 5. We're going to play it out anyway. And I think we've got that set down for perhaps 2 weeks' time. I'm not 100%. You can check it out on the Wargaming Asia website for World of Tanks. And obviously, if you're following MOL Australia, New Zealand on Facebook, they're always super keen and do advertise these streams. Obviously, follow us, being Team Down TV. If you hit that follow button, you will see each and every time we go live. But compared to the last game that we saw, the last best of 5 over a fortnight ago, which I must admit were not the most interesting games, considering obviously there was gold on the line, but it was a bit of a fun situation. Obviously, smushed together teams built from Kiwis and Australians. But tonight was something very different, wasn't it?
Absolutely. No, I think both teams really, really well. I mean, it kind of helped that we kind of banned away the camp maps. Despite that, we saw some very dynamic, some responsive, some active play from both teams. And I really like this because it really does highlight the ability of these teams. Some of the games were lost on virtual mistakes and, overextensions and that kind of thing. But I really think that both these teams showcased a little bit more of their talent tonight. It was some really good games, and I'm hoping for even better next week.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, don't forget to get out there and support MOL. Jump on the Cybergamer ladder. Have a look, au.cybergamer.com. Head on over to World of Tanks. You can follow me on Twitter at TDTV_Samman, and you can follow Uber at ESL Uber. Is that correct?
No, it's at Uber Shouts now, actually.
Wow, please. Wasn't it really? I'm so bad. I'm sorry. Don't follow ESL Uber. He's a goose. Follow Uber Shouts. He's much better.
XO, exactly. Thank you very much, guys, as well, for joining us. It's been an absolute... Do follow us on Twitter. Check out, we're doing plenty of water tank stuff coming up. Going to be awesome, and definitely don't hesitate to get involved as well. Cybergamer.com.au is where it is at for World of Tanks coming up in terms of our organised leagues. Do not hesitate to get involved. Plenty of ways to find players and find teams. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and PAX, I think... I know you'll be at PAX. I don't know what you're doing at PAX, Uber. But I know you'll be out there, and I'll be out there as PAX as well. So if you're into tanks and you want to say g'day, I know we'll be out there. So start planning, guys. I think PAX is where it's going to be, don't you reckon?
Oh, it's going to be great, actually. I'll be hosting the booth on the day, and a lot of guys that we saw tonight actually will be there. So guys like Griffin and even Ajax from the Aussies as well. A lot of these guys are going to be at the event. Bandito will be there as well. Come and hang out with us. Come and play some of the games. It's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely worth sort of checking out there. We do know how to have a good time in Melbourne, so don't miss out on that one. Even if you can only come and get some free stuff, we've got plenty of that as well. Going to be a fantastic weekend.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Uber. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks with the final best of 5 in the Clash of the Titans, Australia versus New Zealand.